What is the universe made of? Most of us, without an absolute understanding, will probably refer to Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity that is describing the behavior of the entire universe based on the matter and energy contained within it. Beneath the visible layer of stars, planets, and other cosmic objects, there is a mysterious celestial realm consisting of shadowy particles and unknown energy fields. For decades, astronomers have puzzled at their nature, calling these elusive substances dark matter and dark energy. Now, fast forward to 2023, and we have finally come across a solution that will possibly answer the question of what the universe is made of. On July 1st, SpaceX's Falcon 9 lifted off with the European Space Agency's Euclid payload on board, which is one-of-a-kind mission to draw the map of the universe across time and space. So what are we actually trying to achieve with this mission, and why this mission is such a big deal for SpaceX? Subscribe to the channel and let's get into it. You're watching Adventures in Space. I want to start this discussion with a little bit of context of how an American company, SpaceX, got so much involvement into European space mission. Usually when it comes to launching specific payloads into space, contracts are signed and plans are made years in advance. There's a lot to consider, like integrating the payload, testing the vehicle, dealing with export policies, and potential delays. It's definitely not a simple process. However, the European Space Agency, or ESA, found themselves in a bit of a bind. They needed a rocket and they needed one quickly. Back in 2020, they mentioned that the Euclid mission would use either a Soyuz or an Ariane 62 launch vehicle from the Guiana Space Center in French Guiana, with a launch timeframe starting in mid-2022. They praised Arianespace for their ability to provide independent access to space for Europe's aspirations. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. The agency initially chose the Soyuz rocket and was getting ready for that. But then, because of Russian unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, none of the civilized companies and organizations in the world wanted to deal with such dictatorship, and ESA had to find a new option. The problem was, by that time, Euclid was already completed and in its final stages of pre-launch testing. So they had to scramble to find a new launch vehicle. The ideal backup option was the European Ariane 6 rocket, but it has been facing ongoing delays and was not available. With limited options, European officials began discussing with SpaceX about a year ago. Eventually, they approved the switch to a foreign rocket, although it wasn't something ESA was particularly happy about. But without making the switch, Euclid would have likely remained grounded until at least 2025. Mike Healy, the head of science projects at ESA, expressed gratitude towards SpaceX, stating that without them, their satellite would have been stuck on the ground for 2 years. Healy also shared some insights into the timeline between ESA and SpaceX. The first discussions took place in May of 2022, followed by the feasibility studies and testing to ensure the Euclid was compatible with SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. Even though ESA announced their intention to launch Euclid and another mission in October, the final contract with SpaceX wasn't signed until the end of January 2023. Healy mentioned that they had to compress what would typically take 3 years into just 5 months, which brought along various challenges, including technical integration issues and dealing with US export control policies. Furthermore, due to the specific requirements and objectives of the Euclid payload, special requests were made. SpaceX charged ESA around $70 million for launching Euclid, which is about $5 million more than the standard commercial price for a dedicated Falcon 9 launch. This extra cost covered the measures SpaceX took to ensure the cleanliness of the Euclid telescope, as even a tiny speck of dust or a strand of hair could jeopardize the mission. To minimize the risk of contaminants, SpaceX provided a brand new payload fairing for the Euclid mission, instead of reusing one from a previous launch like they usually do. Lastly, it's worth noting that this payload is headed to the Lagrange point 2, similar to the James Webb Space Telescope. Taking all these factors into account, SpaceX not only prepared the Falcon 9 for a significant mission in a remarkably short time frame, but they also had to handle special circumstances throughout the entire process. Now to the actual mission. ESA's Euclid spacecraft lifted off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida at 1712 Eastern Time on July 1st. Euclid is the mission aims to uncover the composition of the universe, addressing the fundamental question of its makeup. This European endeavor involves contributions from the International Euclid Consortium and NASA. Thales Alenia Space was chosen by ESA to oversee the construction of Euclid, while Airbus Defence and Space provided the telescope and payload module, which are central to the mission. Euclid's primary objective is to observe billions of galaxies spanning more than a third of the sky, generating an unprecedented volume of data. By creating a precise map of the universe across both space and time, Euclid will empower scientists to investigate the influence of dark matter and dark energy on the apparent shape, motion, and distribution of galaxies across vast distances. Through these observations, a deeper understanding of the true nature of dark matter and dark energy will be attained. The spacecraft and data communications will be managed from ESA's European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, while the EastTrack network of deep space antennas has been upgraded to handle the substantial data acquired by Euclid. The extensive dataset obtained will be analyzed by the Euclid Consortium, comprising over 2,000 scientists from more than 300 institutions across Europe, the United States, Canada, and Japan. Throughout history, astronomers have been driven to comprehend the enigmatic nature of the universe, and Euclid rises to the challenge, positioning itself as a crucial scientific pursuit in the ongoing quest for understanding. In the next 4 weeks, Euclid is going to travel towards a special point in space called Sun-Earth Lagrange Point 2. It's an equilibrium point in the Sun-Earth system located about 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth, which is roughly 4 times the distance between Earth and the Moon. This point is in the opposite direction from the Sun. Once Euclid reaches the point, it will be maneuvered into orbit around it. The mission controllers will then begin their work of checking and verifying all the functions of the spacecraft, testing the telescope, and turning on the specific instruments. The scientists and engineers will be really busy for the next 2 months. They will be conducting intense tests and calibrations of Euclid's scientific instruments and getting ready for regular observations. Over a period of 6 years, Euclid will survey 1/3 of the sky with an incredibly high level of accuracy and sensitivity. As the mission goes on, Euclid will release its valuable data on a yearly basis. This data will be made available to the global scientific community through the Science Archive, which is hosted at ESA's European Space Astronomy Center in Spain. So, to summarize, it is truly impressive that such complicated mission was literally pulled off on the technical side of things in just 5 months. This is an extremely impressive feat from both the agency and company, and highlights the speed at which missions can be completed when necessary. I believe this time frame will only shorten in the future. To answer the question about what the universe is made of, we certainly have to wait a bit longer, but the best thing you can do now is to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update in everything aerospace industry related. We do 4 essays every week in relevant topics, and if you like this video, you have 2 more in front of you right now. As always, this was Georgie with Adventures in Space, and I will see you at the next one.